The keynote address from our CTO, Mr. Haja Mohideen, who is going to be talking about the next-gen penetration testing techniques. Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Aditya.
Good evening, sir. With that, I'm handing over the stage over to you. Welcome. Everyone's looking forward to your keynote address.
Right. I'm ready to go.
Yes, sir, you're ready to go. You can go ahead.
All right. Welcome to Rocheston Reinvent 2021 Conference. Thank you, Mr. Vasant Davis, for your opening speech. And thank you, Aditya, for hosting this event. Just give me a minute. My Slack is going crazy with the notifications. Okay, it's been painful for the last 1 year for everybody who's working from home. It's like a prison for all of us. COVID-19 has reshaped the way we work, way we think, way we connect with people. And my heart goes out to all those who lost loved ones with the COVID-19. If the vaccine is on the way, I don't think so. We are going back to the old ways, okay, the normal ways. And that is true. It also relates to cybersecurity, how we view technologies, people, process, and vendors. Okay, everything has changed. So what have I learned in the last 20 years? I'm going back to the drawing board and starting all over again. Right, and this conference is, it's rightly titled Red Team, Blue Team. The reason is the penetration testing, the spectrum is going on a transformation. The old ways doesn't cut it anymore. Okay, the old thinking doesn't work anymore because of technologies, because of restrictions, because of government regulations and compliance standards. Everything has changed. So if you try to apply 10 years old experience and come over here, it doesn't work. So I will give you an analogy. If you're so used to manual driving with a stick, okay, and gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, and you're, as you move forward with your car, and now we're moving into fossil-less electric-driven cars, and how you're going to change to dynamic transformation of transportation. So a lot of things is changing. Okay, that's what I titled my presentation as next-gen penetration testing techniques. And I conducted tons of testings in the past with companies, big corporate clients as well. And what I did back 20 years ago, if I were to come back and do the same thing now, they'll throw me out. They'll tell me outdated. You're like a hippies from the 70s, So but we're not here to listen to Beatles. We're here to listen to Beyonce music. So let's get back to the topic. So what I'm talking about, the next-gen penetration testing. Okay, so this is the keyword here, which is called automated penetration testing. How do you automate penetration testing? The keyword automated does not connect with the penetration testing. These are like, it's like, what do I call it? It's a plus and minus, okay? And negative and positive charge. I mean, they attract, but positive and positive, they repel. So you have an automated vulnerability scanning, though, but automated penetration testing doesn't exist. Okay, if somebody sells you a such service, throw them out the door. Okay, but this is what the industry is aiming towards. We are going towards that, but we haven't reached the destination. That's everybody's. It's on the wish list. Okay, I would like to have a pen test automatically take care of itself. So what exactly is it? If you have a manufacturing plant, you have robots, right? The robots automatically, pick up the boxes and take the chocolate and place it in the wrappers, and they seal it and they have a stamp on it, and it comes out of the box, comes out of the factory. So that is called automated manufacturing. Okay, so what is the APT, automated penetration testing? We're talking about the penetration that provides the reasons why you need this penetration testing is compliance. Number one, that's it. Okay, nobody gives a damn thing to secure your systems and make sure hackers cannot penetrate that. That's okay. That's one of the objectives, but that is not the objective. Today, the objective is the compliance for banks, hospitals, and service industries, and environment protection agencies, and government departments, and state departments. You name on. So one of the requirements is, hey, show me your pen test report. That's right. That's right. So you're hired for compliance. Unfortunately, that's the sad truth. All right. And the remaining part comes, hey, I really want to secure my company, to secure my system. It's like you're telling yourself, hey, I want to be healthy. I want to get up in the morning. I want to go to the gym. I want to do yoga. I want to eat healthy foods. And I'm going to be a nice human being. It's a wish list, right? But not necessarily everybody does this. So the indisputable evidence of vulnerabilities for organization to action, okay, this is focused on shareholders or the people on the board. They want to protect themselves, okay, stakeholders, we call it. So a penetration testing is too expensive, guys. If somebody's telling you a penetration testing of $1,000 or $500, you know what? You're getting a Mickey Mouse report, okay? That's not real pen test. Pen test requires, like Vasant said, experienced people, competent people with knowledge, and people have the capabilities to fix things, not report things. If you want me to do a pen test, I can do reporting with simple Qualys or Nessus scan and say, hey, you have thousands of vulnerabilities. Here is my report. That's not pen test. Okay, it's more like hey, I need somebody to fix things. So that's the reason why you have a big players like IBM, Deloitte, FireEye, and you have Accenture. Okay, so the auditing companies, they the company spends like $1 million, $500,000 to $2 million to do a full-fledged penetration testing. So please don't take it as a joke. Okay, so if you're a newbie to this particular industry, you like a lawyer, you need to get experience. It also requires that you trust the test. And this is where many companies are hesitant to employ off-the-shelf pen testers, from the internet, or small companies. Small companies don't stand a chance. So if you want to start a business, I'm not discouraging you, but that's a fact. If you want to start a business in pen testing, don't expect big corporations to give you a contract for $100,000. It doesn't work that way because the companies are hesitant to expose the internal network structure to third parties, okay, unless they trust them. So the word trust goes with auditing. So auditing companies like IBM, okay, which sells huge server solutions, networking solution, company like Cisco, they have a cybersecurity division within these organizations. So they'll tell the client, since I provide you the software, the service, and the hardware, why are you shopping for a third-party penetration testers? We provide the testing for you. So this is inclusive of the services. Okay, so this happens across all the spectrum in the Fortune 500 companies because of one single word called, I do not trust third parties. All right, so I'll talk about SolarWinds supply chain attack in a minute, okay? Why that changed the landscape of cybersecurity. That is serious. Now, automation can eliminate or minimize the risk of human error, as well as speed up process at times. And so what do you do? Okay, so the biggest trend today in organization is bug bounties, right? So let hackers pen test for you. So what you do is, join the bug bounty program and offer, if you were to disclose vulnerabilities on these technologies or these services or these hosts, these applications, we will pay you $20,000 per vulnerability. So this has been hugely successful. So if you look at all the multinational companies, everybody is on the bug bounty program, right? So whether it's IBM, whether it's Boeing, American Express, FedEx, they're all there. And in fact, Apple paid about almost like $2 million 3 months back to hackers in the bug bounty programs. So the hackers instead of harming companies, and they join the program and they report and make money out of it. Okay, seriously. So the bug bounty has helped companies to receive reports that normally they don't receive from pen testers because of different, what we call is variations in how the service is implemented, right? Then we move on to, you hear this word a lot. Okay, that's called artificial intelligence and machine learning. How AI ML is going to help me automate penetration testing. All right, so artificial intelligence does help you securing your systems. It doesn't automatically penetrate pen test your systems. So one example is a beautiful software from Microsoft. Okay, they have an amazing threat hunting software in Microsoft Defender programs for Linux and Windows and Mac. So we use the one on Linux. It's amazing. So what happens is whenever an attack surfaces on the host, it sends it to the AI engine in the cloud to get instructions. Hey, I'm under attack from a ransomware file that comes in. Please tell me what to do. So the cloud artificial intelligence automatically tells you, okay, this is bad. You need to stop it. You need to kill the process, and you need to make sure unlink any of the process attached with this particular ransomware. Okay, that's AI ML. This comes under prevention techniques, right? So this is dot defending or threat defending techniques, not automate penetration testing techniques. So once again, I'm going to wrap up the slide. So what I'm going to say is this is a wish list for every single organization. You press a magic button, automatically it does a pen test without any humans. So today, without humans, you can't do pen test. Okay, you need at least 70% of the process of pen testing as humans to go and analyze and look at the problem. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so this is the bug bounty program, and I have given you a link below in the slides. Okay, a bug crowd gives you a list of companies who participate in this, how much they pay, what they want you to test, and so on. So this is a screenshot from Microsoft a bug bounty program. They pay $500 to $20,000 on submissions. Okay, of course. You have to participate. You got to fill in a form, and it says, okay, I'm a hacker, and I want to go and hack your Office 365 or your Microsoft Online or Xbox games, your portals, and so on. So when you do that, and of course, every single attack comes with a signature, Microsoft will not even go and put you in jail or what we call is expose you to authorities and charge you. No, they won't do that. So Microsoft has been very, very successful. Okay, paying millions of dollars to bug bounties. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're doing pen testing, make sure you get on the bug bounty programs. And another thing is make sure you pay the hackers and publish it online. How much you paid them? Because nobody wants to use the time to test your network and expose your weaknesses if they don't get paid. Simple as that, right? Okay, so the next we move on to another pen test requirement is called user behavioral analytics. We call it UBA. Okay, what that means is not only you're testing the host, the servers, the mobile phones, and the printers, and the fax machines, and so on. Yeah, that you should do. But you also should focus heavily on how users use the resources in the organization, how they use the computers, which sites they go to, what they're viewing, what information they're in social media, and so on. So we call this the threat of attacks by internal users still a concern. You can't dismiss a possibility, so tracking a user's behavior can help. All right, so you have to track and assess activities of the monitoring system. So if you look at most of the ransomware attacks, it's because of a dumb user. Let's not call it dumb. I would call it not cybersecurity savvy user, ignorant user, who inadvertently clicked on a link, says, please install this update, Office 365 update, for a smoother experience for your Microsoft Word. So if that pops up on the screen while she's watching a video on YouTube, okay, and she clicks that, and there you go. You have a payload load it on your computer and launches an attack. All right. So UBA uses machine learning and deep learning to build out behavior vulnerabilities and detects anything unusual. The question becomes is privacy. So why should I monitor what the employees do on the computers, right? Of course, don't worry about privacy. Privacy doesn't exist in companies. Privacy exists when you try to browse a third-party site. But inside the company, of course, they are paid employees. So they have signed a privacy document called company handbook. So you have the rights. And make sure you use programs such as, there are tons of programs which allows you to monitor the employee behaviors and send it to a dashboard in a SOC. So you will know who is clicking on a link, who is going to website, who's going to dark web, and so on. So you've got to monitor the employees, okay? And the next move on to DevSecops. Oh yeah, this is, whenever I mention this word DevSecops, everybody will be running in the other directions. Oh no, please don't start, Haja. I don't want to do anything with this particular subject. Why? Because whenever you talk about this, you've got to go back to square one and rewrite every single line of code. So what is DevSecops? It's building security into the source code. So when you write your C++ programs or Rust programs or Python programs, you need to make sure follow a framework, okay, a cybersecurity framework to write a code that doesn't expose vulnerabilities to third parties. So when you want to go and tell your programmers, hey, please do this and this and this, programmers get angry. I'm a programmer myself. I program in Python and PHP. Okay, so if you look at a social media, we get a social media blockchain, all we did in PHP. And if somebody tells me, Haja, what you're doing is wrong, let me teach you how to write securely. I said, go and fly kites. Get the hell out of my face. So the arrogance is there. Okay, so that's why they don't want to touch, secure programming with developers. But this is a must. No point penetration testing or running an Nmap scan on a server if you know the underlying application programming itself is vulnerable because of the codes they use, okay, which exposes strings, exposes buffer overflows, and so on. So with this approach, proactive approach, you can find a remediate security risk early if you practice DevSecops. So make sure you have a proper software development lifecycle that focused on secure coding. All right, so this has to be done. So no point penetration testing on an aeroplane, okay, whether it's leaking fuel or not, when you know very well the fuel tank is built with the crappy materials and when it flies, definitely is going to burst. Okay, that's exactly what the DevSecops is. All right, so next thing is the COVID-19 has changed penetration testing. Okay, why? Okay, what is different now compared to a year ago? COVID-19 has a significant effect on all business because penetration testing performed before the pandemic is not accurate now. Okay, so what you did 1 year back, it's completely outdated. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because 1 year ago, you had employees sitting in offices. You had secretaries, attending phone calls, and you had sales guys walking to marketing guys and production guys giving out papers and sending emails and so on. So everything is in one single house. Okay, so you did a pen test on all these machines in a LAN network, and it worked beautifully. You had a report. So today, nobody is working in offices. Everybody is working at home. So an endpoint has moved from the office back at home. So we are talking about remote home. So the adoption of cloud-based solutions, VPNs, and new tech like video conferencing platforms, and exchanging chat messages using instead of emails. So what you have to do is, how are you going to secure your employee's home network? If your home network is compromised of an employee called John, who's a marketing guy sitting in Seattle, and through his home, hackers could compromise the entire network. So what you have to do is, now I have to go and test every employee's home networks, make sure they are protected, make sure the Wi-Fi is protected, make sure everybody's using a VPN that is not compromised, and make sure the tunnel is encrypted. Okay, so it's a good idea to conduct further tests to ensure there aren't new security challenges. Every company is rewriting penetration testing for COVID-19. Okay, so understand this. Now, cloud security. So everybody talks about, hey, cloud security, cloud security. What the hell is that? What the hell is cloud security? Okay, so I say cloud security doesn't exist, but everything is in the cloud. Okay, cloud security is pretty much mandatory. It's a core component. It's not an optional component, accessory you add on to a pen test. It doesn't work like that. So that's, if you have the Earth, and Earth is, of course, the hottest shell there, that's your cloud security. So here is what I get from my students and my my partners. They come and tell me, you know what, I'm hosting on Azure, I'm hosting on AWS. Just because Amazon is hosting your server doesn't mean Amazon is going to protect your server. No, Amazon doesn't do anything. Okay, so what you host on Amazon, AWS, or Microsoft, Azure, that's your responsibility. Okay, so if you want protection from Microsoft Azure, you got to pay for additional services. They add rings and rings and rings over your server. More threat detection is enabled, right? So you are completely responsible for your cloud security. Another thing is, just because you're on the cloud, you can't do a pen test, because Microsoft Azure will not allow you to do pen test unless you give them a advanced warning and a window of time. I'm going to do a pen test from this time to this time and so on. So that's a bit of a challenge, right? So you need pen testing for SaaS, software as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. So all of these, frameworks must be implemented in organizations in a continuous manner. Okay, that's cloud security. And open up Azure portal, AWS portal, it has all those things. In fact, we spend almost like $3,000 per server, which has multiple rings on our Amazon AWS and Azure service. Okay, all right. So here is the problem. When I talk about DevSecops, right? The industry has been crying. Okay, please get rid of your what we call is ancient legacy programming languages, which is C++. So 90% of the attacks occurs because of using non-secure libraries in these programming languages. Okay, and Microsoft still uses C++ coding because they're struggling. Actually, Microsoft had a blog post with the cybersecurity officer, CISO there, and he says we are trying to move away from C and C++ of Windows 10 and Windows 2019 servers, but it will take from anywhere from 10 to 15 years from now, because there's so much legacy libraries already built in and programmed using C++. Why is C++ is so bad? Because it has so many unsafe libraries and unsafe codes, unsafe structures, and it's not automatic. The language protects itself for memory leakage or buffer overflow attacks. All right, so what do you need to do? Okay, so you go back to your developers and have a timeline to do a migration. And one example is an amazing transformation is Apple. Apple has beautifully transformed from C++ to Rust. Okay, that's the program language Facebook uses. So entire Facebook platform is programmed using the Rust language, and that is pretty much, it's pretty good when it comes to cybersecurity protections. So when it comes to data leakage, when it comes to what we call as variable being rewritten or exposing unsigned threat vectors and arrays and so on. So move to Rust if you are starting from scratch. Now I'll give an example. This was so embarrassing. 6 months ago, hackers. This was reportedly Chinese hackers breached Microsoft network and accessed a server that contained source codes. Source code, remember, the entire source codes for Xbox, Windows 2003, MS-DOS, Windows XP, Windows 7, and Windows 10 shared source code. The entire source code of the operating system, the holy grail of Microsoft, was breached, and the hackers posted this on dark web. And I was thinking, like, Microsoft, are you this stupid? Are you really this stupid? This is your holy grail, man. If a competitor gets hold of the source code, imagine what they can do. They will know your APIs. They will know how you design your interface, how you design your plug and play, how you design your network access, how you design Active Directory. Oh my God. All right, so let me show you. Microsoft, please don't send me a cease and desist letter here. Okay, so I downloaded from the dark web, and after this conference, I will just right click and delete it. All right, so don't come and send me those threatening letters. It's not me. Okay, if you want to go after those onion sites in dark web hosting the source code. Anyway, so this is the source code that I just downloaded from dark web, and this is the Windows 2003. Okay, and what Microsoft gives you is everything. It comes in a zip file. Okay, this is the entire source code, and I'm going to show you the XP source code. Okay, I'm going to show you the first volume over here. Okay, so it's divided into admin, burn, command line, controls, and Darwin, and so on. So I want the user interface. I love the user interface. So I'm going to the engine, and I'm going to show you one of the header files, okay, which is the execute. Okay, I'm going to use a text editor to show you the source code. This is it. So this is the actual source code. Okay, so you will know it's a C++ code. You will know how Microsoft writes the code, how they declare the variables, and how they call the header files, how they call, pass from to different functions. Okay, the interface. I love the interface. If config, there you go. Interface config. Sorry. And it's a big file, so Moped is taking a long time. Okay, so there you go. This is the miscellaneous tools, and that's the monitor. It's everything. Okay, it's not even 1% or 2%. It's 100% of the source code is right here. Okay, so in the dark web, they also tell you how to compile the code and get it running. Actually, only hacker got it running. All right, the few libraries was missing, so they got it from the Windows XP's DLL and applied over there, and it worked. Right? So, like, if a company like Microsoft gets breached, what about you guys? Right? Do you think Microsoft is doing something is wrong? No, because the threat landscape is changing. Now, I'll give another example. The Adobe Flash has tons and tons of vulnerabilities. So this particular library has the most vulnerabilities ever seen. Okay, Adobe Flash, and Adobe discontinued Flash on December 31st last year. They said we're going to support it and we're going to remove it if you haven't already installed. Automatically remove it. And when we execute Flash, Flash sees the date and it starts the uninstall process. Okay. And this is death poison. Don't even go and enable Flash from now onwards. It's dead. Okay. Now, what happened is, let me show you the city. It's a beautiful city of Dalian in China. And what you see on the picture is the railway station there. Okay. It's a big city, more than 1 million people living there. And the trains are connected between multiple stations. Okay. So what you see is a metro planning map, right? And you can go and buy a ticket, and you can tap your card, and the gate opens. Get on the plane, you get on the train, and you can hop off, and so on. That's so you know how the metro works. Now, here is the problem: the Chinese railway station went offline. Okay, this was last week, right? They went completely offline because the Adobe triggered a kill switch to end support of Flash. Okay, why is it last week? Because Adobe stopped supporting on the 31st December, but they started uninstalling on Jan 12th automatically. Okay, so my Flash got uninstalled by Mac. So that's Adobe kill switch. When it happened, the entire railway systems stopped. Okay, because ticketing didn't work, and your access cards to open the gate didn't work, and the trains couldn't communicate with each other. And they were like, what the hell happened? Because the entire railway station, okay, the user interface and communications was based on the Flash protocol. So when you shut down Flash, the entire city's railway station came to a halt. Now, what they did is, so the IT guys, they scrambled to revert to an earlier version of Flash to get the system working. They went back and said, how can I get version 12.7? Put it there. Okay. Finally, they got the old version, because the old version doesn't have the kill switch. Okay. And they got it running. But the old version is a vulnerable version they're using on the railway station. So they knew the threat. But anyway, they went and did it because to replace Flash with something else would take about $300 million for the Chinese railway station department. So what they said is, there's always a rule in pen testing: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And everything works smoothly railways, but you want to fix it. So yes, Dalian Railways runs on legacy Flash. Flash is still in widespread use in the Chinese government, which is pretty interesting. What I'm trying to tell you is legacy systems. So 30% of the operating system used today is Windows 7, which Microsoft stopped supporting. Okay, Microsoft, there's a certain patch for Windows 7, but 30% of the OS market still uses Windows 7 legacy systems. So the industry is struggling. How do you move away from this? All right, so let's move on to FireEye. Now, FireEye is the trusted. It's the #1 vendor when it comes to pen testing. And if you look at this is the text is taken from the website. Okay, the URL is right there. Okay, go to Mandiant pen testing HTML. So if you want to pen testing for FireEye, this is the document they give you. So what they say is, we're going to pen testing on external, internal web application, mobile application, social engineering, wireless, embedded IC. That's it. This is it. This is what I'm going to do for you. Okay. So in each external pen testing, they have like, we're going to test and identify and service and systems and blah, blah, blah. Internal, you're going to simulate a malicious insider, okay, who's trying to steal information from you, blah, 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 and so on. And if you ask me, this methodology is from 20 years ago. 20 years ago. External, internal web applications. So I designed a course on this. I designed frameworks and methodology on this 20 years ago. Still, FireEye uses it. Why? This is not the next gen. This is the old gen. That's because if you look at the corporations and the organizations today, they still live on legacy systems, legacy networks, physical servers. Government agencies, example. That's the reason why you're going to see lots of ransomware attacks left and right all over the world. Okay, that's because of legacy systems. And FireEye customers are based on this methodology, and FireEye goes and gives what they want because of compliance. But let me show you the next gen testing. I want to choose a client, Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz has thousands of employees all over the world. They have agents. They have offices in almost like 90 countries, all coordinating production to marketing to sales to the government, the fuel efficiency to third-party suppliers and so on. So if I want to ask you, hey, can you come and do a penetration testing for Mercedes-Benz, the entire organization and everything, from Germany to Australia to India, put everything together, what would you do? How do you do it? Okay, so Mercedes-Benz has a scope and pen test guidelines. Okay, so this is what they want you to do. And it's very detailed. Okay, and I'm going to read it out for you. It says, when searching for vulnerabilities, please be intrusive, little intrusive as possible. Use only harmless payloads. Don't disturb my network. Don't disturb my website. Don't disturb my customers logging on for sales and want to purchase. And test only systems in scope. Don't do anything else. I'll show you the scope in a minute. Okay, whatever is in the scope, I want you to do a pen test. And please provide the details we need to reproduce the vulnerability. Don't tell me, hey, you know what? I saw admin username and password on SSH server. Okay, and don't put the report there. And you better tell me, can I duplicate that? Okay, tell me how to duplicate that to show there is a vulnerability exists. And if your report is about a vehicle, please tell us about a model, VAN, if possible, names and part numbers, affected components. If you're testing the car or a bus, Mercedes-Benz or a Jeep, do this. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Do not disrupt our services, and with the intent and make and goodwill effort to do not disturb our services by accident. Do not do denial of service attack and bring a system down and embarrass us. Don't do that. If you see a weakness, just take note, move on. Okay, use test accounts and okay. One of the things is don't use report finding automated scanning tools. So what Mercedes-Benz is saying is, okay, you're a pen tester, great, but don't run a vulnerability scanning report, vulnerability scan and give me a report on that, because we can do that ourselves. We can run Nessus scan on our own servers and get the report ourselves. Okay, most pen testers, this is what they do. They do vulnerability scans. That's embarrassing, guys. Please stop. Don't do it. Okay, you'll make a mockery out of your customer. All right, so don't start DOS attack. There are high loads in general. If you think our server have a specific problem handling high loads, you can talk to us. Okay, how do we can give advance notice? This particular server will be on maintenance. So now the scope. Okay, so Mercedes-Benz says, okay, so I'll tell you what to test. Any host owned by Daimler AG. Okay, so Daimler-Benz, any computer owned by this company, the corporate company, okay, whether it's a security machine, security phone, printers, fax machines, or satellite device, I don't care. Test it. Okay, and all apps by Google or Microsoft, or Apple, iOS, published by Daimler, and Mercedes Me Adapter Kit, Remote Park Pilot, Mercedes-Benz Guide, Smart Cross Connect. Yes, go ahead and do it. And of course, the cars. Every single car, okay, Mercedes-Benz owns. Go and test it. That is Mercedes-Benz, Smart, Mercedes-AMG, Mercedes-Maybach brands. Any accessory or component for use with above vehicles sold under these brands. Any accessory like a internet access or a dashboard or touchscreen or entertainment system, go and test it. Now, okay, all right, so we give you the scope, right? So you got to be very, very specific. Okay, so what I want you to test? This is what I want you to test. So when it comes to vehicles, the cars, okay, do a OS embedded application security top 10, remote code execution, sensitive data, broken authentication, unlocking vehicle functions, and so on. So, when you press a key, the door automatically opens. Test whether I can bypass that. So when it comes to computers and servers, this is what I want you to do. SQL injection, broken authentication, cross-site scripting, secure misconfiguration, secure data exposure, cross-site request forgery, unvalidated redirects and forwards. And that's it. This is it. This is what Mercedes-Benz penetration scope is. It's not like, 1,000 pages, guys. It's only 5 pages. All right. And your job is to produce the 1,000 pages what Mercedes-Benz asks you to do. That could be done by one guy. So Accenture and Deloitte and Anderson Consult, these are the companies which does the testing for them, because you and me cannot. So you can apply the same, the testing requirements to other organizations. All right, so let me move on to SolarWinds hack. SolarWinds hack embarrassed everyone, totally everyone, including Microsoft and Cisco. So what happened? What did SolarWinds? Okay, SolarWinds is a company which sells tons of network management tools. So Russian hackers installed the malware, a Trojan, into one of the upgrade software called Orion. Orion is a product from SolarWinds that scans a network and tells how healthy a network is. What is the payload? What is the load? What is the traffic? What is the threshold? What are the intrusions you have, and so on in a dashboard? Okay, that's what Orion product is. Orion has about 300,000 customers worldwide. So when they push this patch, with the Russian malware, and 18,000 customers installed that patch. And all the 18,000 customers were hacked. And who are they? Some of them are here. Department of State in the US, Department of Homeland Security, Pentagon, Treasury. Microsoft was hacked, and source code was stolen. FireEye was, oh my God, FireEye was hacked. So was NVIDIA, Cisco, Intel, VMware, Deloitte, Malwarebytes. I use Malwarebytes on my computer to secure myself from virus and trojans on a Mac. Plus 18,000 SolarWinds Orient customers. But everybody, all these agencies agreed, yes, we got hacked by SolarWinds. But what did the Russian hackers steal? You know what? Nobody is opening the mouth. Nobody is saying what they stole. So I'm sure the theft is quite deadly. So this is the Orient software. As you can see, the screenshots from the Orient dashboards. All right, it's a network management tool. So why was it successful? Is why the sensors didn't detect the threat, the intrusion. It's because of the software. What it does, the software is meant to intrude. So Orient, it's supposed to intercept the network traffic, supposed to intercept the processes, supposed to intercept, the entire subnets. So sensors thought that's a good thing because that's what Orion's supposed to do. My goodness. I mean, the data was collected and sent to a third-party service. And in fact, Microsoft took control of the CNC when it was directed. And that was embarrassing. Okay. So why it is so dangerous is because my home router is Netgear, and Netgear automatically pushes updates. So what if Russian hackers have embedded a Trojan inside the Netgear update, and my router downloads, update, installs? Is my home network compromised? Oh yeah, absolutely. So I can't trust anything. I can't trust. What about my Adobe Photoshop I use? And hackers compromise Adobe on the servers and push update, and I don't download the updates. Updates are automatically downloaded by Photoshop. My computer is hacked? Oh yeah. Serious, right? This is a supply chain attack. Because I cannot even trust a real software with the real digital signature keys. Now, Kevin Mandia is a FireEye CEO, and he said the Russian hackers' capabilities was world-class. Okay? And they're highly trained in operational security executive with a disciplined focus. They operated using methods that counter security tools of forensic examinations. They have used a combination of technique not witnessed by us in the past. This was so unusual. And if you go to Microsoft blog, they have a detailed analysis of these attacks. You can go and read it by yourself. So FireEye is the company that protects millions of customers worldwide, and they help and guide third-party government agencies on network intrusions. And they threw the towel. I give up. Okay? These Russian hackers by state-sponsored hackers, not script kiddies. Okay, all right. So let's move on to the next generation of testing. So the word pen testing, it's outdated. So you've got to use red team, blue team somewhere in there to make it more relevant. Similarly, the word cybersecurity is irrelevant unless you use this magic word called threat intelligence. So if you say, it doesn't matter what it means, just say threat intelligence, cybersecurity, we follow standards and we implement the security posture. You know what? People give 2 thumbs. Oh my God, fantastic. You're being very great. You're top of the gear. So when it comes to pen testing, use these 2 magic words. Red team, blue team. You get the attention of the customer. So what exactly it is? All right. So when you do a pen testing, the old days was like what a FireEye was. Like I do a discovery, I do an Nmap scan, then I do vulnerability scan, then I go and identify the asserts and risk assessment and blah, 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 and so on. Here, it's a different approach. What you do is you have 2 teams, okay? One is the red team, one is the blue team. The blue team, defending team, is aware of the penetration test. Red team will try to get it, and the goal is for the organization to detect and response capabilities. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so you got 10 people on the hacking team and 10 people on the attack team. Then you got a purple teaming, which combines both and tries to document what worked, what didn't work. So let me give a scenario. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run exploit on SSH servers that you have on your machine. Okay, so I'm sending all the exploits through Metasploits. Okay, that is my red team. So on a blue team, what you do is you get your dashboard on your sensors, the Microsoft Defender, and the attacks will come and I'll say, from the IP address, this particular IP address, this particular server, this particular time, and this particular payload, and so on. So what you do is you try to put a defense. Say, you know what? I'm going to blacklist this IP. You can't come in anymore. So what the red team will do is, oh, you're blocking my IP, right? I'm going to use a proxy. I'm going to get a different IP and I'm going to attack. You try to block that as well. Okay, and you know what? That's the game. I'm just using a simple example. Okay, red team, blue team, and do it. This is what organizations are moving towards pen testing. All right, that requires a framework as well. So what framework is that? I'm almost done. Aditya, how much time I have?
10 minutes.
Yeah, I know. I'm almost done. All right. So this is what organization needs to do. Microsoft does this. IBM does this, and so on. I mean, it's not that difficult, guys, to do a red team, blue team pen testing. I will show you a demo in a minute. All right. So if you want to follow this RB scenarios, okay, first thing got to master is MITRE ATT&CK. So what is a MITRE ATT&CK? Okay, MITRE ATT&CK is a globally accessible database of the keyword I'm going to use called adversary tactics and techniques based on real world observations. So what does it even mean? All right, so you have Iranian hackers. There are tons of Iranian hackers with the different capabilities, right? So what you want to do is I want to launch an attack of Iranian hacker called, Mazy Cows. That's a code name for these guys. So these hackers, they only use SMBs, Microsoft shares. If they find any shares that are exposed without a password, without authentications, they will get access to that and penetrate your network. They're not interested in Linux and SSH or Active Directory. They're not interested in SQL injection or wireless hacks or cookie stealing. No. They're only monitoring for SMB shares within the company, which uses Windows servers. All right. So what you want to do is you want to say, hey, let me see, based on these cow hackers, can I penetrate? Okay. Next is the Russian hackers. So Russian hackers have certain tactics. Okay. Can I penetrate using this Russian hacker called APT31, for example? That MITRE ATT&CK has a fantastic database. Amazing database. All right. So you show throw in the hacker identifications, and it'll give you a chart. What are the tactics they use? All right. And from that, you can do a pen test. So this is the next gen pen test in which you're simulating, in the place of an hacker. Put yourself in the footsteps of the hacker and try to attack. That's exactly what you're doing. This is what the Homeland Security does. They try to see how Al-Qaeda launches an attack on the US forces, and they simulate that in the training. All right, so what you see here is a Crowdstrike Falcon. Okay, and Falcon is a endpoint protection. You install it on a Linux or Windows machines, and as network traffic flows through, it will identify which of this traffic has signature of these hackers. All right, so whether there's Intrigue Spider or Wicked Panda or Grem Spider and so on. Okay, Falcon. So this is what you need to do. So for example, I want to test my systems. Okay, if I'm a Velvet Colima, what would I do? How would I hack your organizations? What kind of tools would I use? What kind of exposure that I might configure to penetrate? Okay, what if I'm a Mummy Spider? What would I do? What if I'm a Luna Spider? What do I do? This is what organizations are doing right now. Okay, they are simulating attacks based on all these thousands of attackers all over the world. Okay, so can you automate this? Yes, that I can automate. Let me show you how. Okay, so what you need is an amazing, beautiful open source tool called Caldera. Caldera uses a MITRE ATT&CK framework, and that runs autonomous breach and simulation attacks in a red team engagement or automated incident response. Okay, so before this, you got to master what these hackers' tactics are. That's a must. So before this, you got to master the MITRE Navigator. All right. So of course, we teach in RCC class, and I'm going to show a demo of that in a minute. So this is what Caldera does. So I'm going to do a dry run, then I'll show you the interface in Rose. Okay, so when you launch your Caldera, what you need to do is you need to create an agent. So what is the agent? Okay, that's pretty much a Trojan. Okay, so you need to infect this Trojan on a victim's machine. That's a must. So create an agent based on different platforms you want, and you click deploy. And it generates the IP addresses just like a MSF console. Okay, an IP address and a port where the Trojan needs to connect, and execute it. Okay, I mean this is from the RCCE course, guys. You know, if you haven't attended the RCCE, I strongly recommend that you take this program. It's an amazing program. So run it in a script and execute it. That's it. The agent is deployed. So what happens is the agent connects back to the Caldera, and what you can do is, okay, this is where you're going to say, I'm going to be the adversary of Irene Mummy Hacker. So when you drop down Irene Mummy Hacker, it shows you the tactics, what the Mummy Hacker does. Okay, and then what you do is you click operations, and so these are the tactics. There's a hacker called Super Spy, Thief, and so on. And launch and execute. He'll execute those tactics. If a hacker has like 100 tactics, he'll execute all the 100 tactics. Do nmap scan and find for files with a credit card or social security number. Find for files with a password. Find files named with sensitive. Look for configurations and so on. He'll execute and he'll give you a report. Now let me show you how that works. Okay, so this is the Caldera. Okay, running in a Rose here. Okay, so these are the agents. So you generate the agent. Okay, what kind of agents you want. You click there. And these are the adversaries. Right, and there you go. So what you can do is you can add different adversaries and add different tactics, okay, on your own. So for example, we added an adversary called RCC adversary. And what you see at the top is the tactics. Find IP address, find files, create staging directory, identify active users, snag broadcast IP, find user process, and identify firewalls, discover mail server, so, and service creation, and so on. It'll execute all of this. So all you see here, the icons, Apple, Linux, and Windows. So it tells you this particular tactic will work on all these platforms. Okay, and there you go. And you can create your own adversary. You can create your own tactics. And then you can launch, close this. And once you do that, and what you do here is select your basic operations, what you need, select your schedules, when you want to execute, select the time and so on, and you run it. Okay, I'm not going to do it because it'll mess up my Rose. And it'll give you a report as well. All right, how beautifully it executed, which tactic failed, why it failed, all right, and what you can do to execute it again with the certain modifications and so on. And for example, like one example, SSH is not running on port 22, it's running on port 200. So you want to go back and modify the tactic on this, all right? So this is automated red teaming based on adversaries. That's how it works. So, all right, and I finished. And thank you so much. I think, Aditya, I think this is the first presentation I finished on time. Am I right?
That's because I anticipated 20 minutes early.
What?
I started you 20 minutes earlier than your scheduled start because I knew you would need the extra time.
No, last time I got bombarded. When I had too much content, I couldn't give the time for the next speaker. So
Yes.
it's been wonderful coming on as a keynote speaker for this conference. Stay safe, and let me know if you have any questions. I'll take. And
sorry, we don't have time for the questions because the next speaker is already. Okay, we have. Just the next speaker is already waiting. It's his time slot starting.
I don't use email, by the way. Just I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm connecting the LinkedIn and ask your questions. All right. Thank you so much, Aditya. God bless.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haja, for the wonderful presentation. Bye-bye.